Hello, this is Tim. Welcome to my platform. I just said that way because I'm on a couple of platforms with this video, but welcome. Thank you for supporting. This month, we're dealing with the making of America because we need to know how this society was made so that we can understand how it's going to attempt it to be remade, and so you know where you stand in the remaking because that is what's happening as we speak. Inventing a capital city. Its location is a bargaining chip, and George Washington fires its first architect. Yet the federal city rises with an eye trained on the future. The old joke about Washington, D.C. is that the city boasts the ideal combination of southern efficiency, I don't know what's wrong with me, and northern charm. The easy stereotype taps into a difficult truth. The location of the nation's capital city was precisely chosen, brokered in a political bargain that barely preserved the frail young Union. Americans were inventing a nation from scratch, and they decided to create the seat of the federal government in the same manner. Clearly, naming an existing city the nation's capital would amount to declaring its home state the first among equals in the Union. And the Union was already imperiled by the rivalries between large and small states, northern and southern states. So a new city must be built, but where? The issue of the capital's location soon became entangled with another dilemma: roiling the Union. The debts incurred by the states in fighting the Revolution, who was to pay for them? The northern states wanted the federal government to assume the debts. The southern states, wary of conceding too much power to the federal union, preferred to assume the Revolution's debts themselves. In a dinner meeting in June 1790, Virginians Thomas Jefferson and James Madison hammered out a bargaining with New Yorker Alexander Hamilton. The Union would assume the war debts, and the nation's new capital would be located in a new federal district on the Potomac River, to be carved out of two southern states, Virginia and Maryland, not far from the new president's home. The unspoken subtext of the agreement, a subject that was often not addressed in formal assemblies, but was ever present in the tense relationship between the states, was the preservation of slavery. Here we go again, the number one issue in our country. The location of the federal city in the new District of Columbia, straddling two of the nation's largest slave states, was ratified in the Residence Act of 1790, and it amounted to a tacit agreement by the northern states that slavery would be allowed to continue in the South. It was the first of the three major compromises that would occur in exact 30-year intervals: the Compromise of 1790, the Missouri Compromise of 1820, the Compromise of 1850, that would preserve the Union at the expense of continuing the peculiar institution so essential to the nation's economy. That's part one. I'll read part two in the next video. But yeah, that's it. And the quotation says, "No nation perhaps had ever before the opportunity of deliberately deciding where their capital city should be fixed." Pierre Lafont. And here's a picture. I always give you the pictures. It's the best thing about now I can do videos again. Okay, that was part one. I'll give you part two in the next one. And again, don't let anybody ever tell you that race is not the number one problem in the United States. Remember, slavery was racialized. Everything was built on slavery. Race is the number one issue. Fix race, you fix everything else, or almost everything else. Try to fix other things without fixing race, it's never going to work. We've tried it, and it's been 200 and something years. You gotta fix it. And that doesn't mean putting black people in high positions either. It means fixing race, taking down the false concept and treating everyone fairly in the society and giving people their fair share. Black people, their fair share. That's what it means. If you want to build another society on this territory and make it work, you got to do that. If not, it's going to be strife, 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 strife. Until next time, I want to thank you and say take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.